So I'm now focusing on one thing so that later I can focus on other stuff. It takes a long time to master everything. I just decided to kind of stick to one comfort zone. And comfort zones are good. I've studied a lot of master work, and they all kind of did comfort zone stuff. Some artists only did seascapes or mountains, and they were amazing at that work. So, like, why not just stay in the comfort zone? Maybe they could have done portrait work as well because they were so good. But again, they're famous for this specific subject matter, and it looks amazing. So why not try that? Just focus on one thing, master, be the best at that, and it should work out fine.
Right. Hello,
Hello.
everyone.
Hi.
Hello. We have a special guest all the way from Novi Sad, Serbia. And
That's
first,
true.
welcome back. Welcome back to our artist interview segment here at Brushpoint. I'm your host, Bumiskis, or you can just call me Justin if you're nasty. For today, we have a guest with 3 years of experience as a concept artist for games and over 12 years as a freelance artist. He has done work for various private commissions with Fablecap and Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere RPG, just to name a few, and a few more top secret ones we can't talk about in stream. So, on top of all of that, is my favorite discovery. He's also a drummer of the band Rain Delay. So,
That is true.
please welcome Anthony Avon. Imagine it's like a huge auditorium of people clapping.
You know so much about me already.
I did my
I wanted to
research,
keep
man.
some of that a secret.
Oh, that's a surprise.
But yeah.
No. Well, some of these are actually available online in a podcast. So I got that from YouTube. Some of that actually from YouTube. And what's the name of the podcast again? The Artist Endeavor podcast?
Yes, that's with Andrew Tischler, one of my favorite artists.
You guys can
Incredible
check
landscape
that out.
artist.
Mm-hmm. If you guys want, you can check that out. A little bump right there. And I owe him a bit of thanks because I got some of my information
Yeah.
right from
One
that
note
podcast.
to Andrew. He's a great guy, but that is the worst screenshot he could have chosen for that audio.
I saw. It's just a static photo of you guys. I guess that's.
He publicly released only the audio. On his website, you can see the full video.
Yeah.
But he posted the audio with a screenshot with me with a crazy face. I was like, why, man? Why would you do that to me?
The
but yeah,
unflattering shot. Yeah, I believe it's the rest of the videos on his Patreon, so you guys can check that out.
Yeah.
Some of the info there you can only find in that video. Like I think you guys talk about landscapes there and the golden ratio. So if you guys want to see that, it's exclusively for his podcast.
It will come up again. It will come up again in the critiques.
Oh, perfect. Oh, okay. I'm excited for that, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I've done my homework on those. I didn't have a lot of time, but I did my best. So we'll see how that goes later on.
I'm sure they'll appreciate that. Oh, wait, hang on. First, let's start with your name. Actually, how did you come up with your artist name? I guess we can start there.
Yeah, Anthony Avon is not my real name. I came up with that name in high school when I was 17 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it had nothing to do with art. A lot of my early life had nothing to do with art, actually. That will be a part of the story. Anthony Avon was a character that I invented and that I wanted to aspire to become. I imagined a person with certain qualities that I wanted to develop in myself. And over the years, I discovered that I'm doing well to becoming that character. And art is a huge part of that. A lot of who I am as a person goes into how I create art. And it just, at some point, made sense to son my artwork is Anthony Avon. It is inspired. Last name is inspired by a famous artist, John Avon. That's the only thing that I'm still like, oh, he's one of my heroes. He knows about me, and I kind of stole his name, but it was never at the time when I picked that name. It was just a beautiful sounding name, and I wasn't even close to thinking that it will ever like be attached to art, or that I would do landscape art primarily. That's why I make sure that I don't paint anything like he does. I
Oh,
only used his work as a loose reference on one painting, and there was there's already that similarity. I don't want to like come too close to that, but he knows about me, which is one of the craziest parts of my story as an artist. All these heroes of mine.
uh-huh.
I discovered his artwork when I was 13 or 14, and it just blew my mind. And
Does he? Oh yeah, go on, keep
someday,
going.
to someday have a notification that says John Avon liked your art on
Uh-huh.
Instagram. It's like how did that happen? And I had a couple of events like that make me really happy.
It's like full circle. That's a full circle moment right there. Wait, does he know that you owe your last name to him? Does he know that story or
Uh,
no?
we never actually talked to each other.
Uh
So
huh.
someday, I hope, but he knows about my work. That's good enough.
He knows about
But
your existence.
if I actually meet him, I'll have some explaining to do.
Dude,
But yeah.
that's so cool. It's like Tyson Fury meeting Mike Tyson because his dad named him after Mike Tyson. So it's full circle moment right there. So that's how you look. I wanted to start with the name because I like to start with something tied to the artist, and yours is your name, and that was very interesting. So a little quick recap. So I don't want to repeat what's already on YouTube or anywhere else. That's why I gave a little shout out to that YouTube video. But what I do want to ask, because I found this really interesting. So I want to ask, are you still in contact with that lady Dawn from your earlier days?
Yeah, yeah. And I think
Ah,
that story that just has to be retold.
go ahead. Yeah,
I owe it to her to tell that story to everyone
no
because
problem.
she gave me my life. So
Yeah.
we can I can later go into what happened earlier, but at some point in my early 20s,
Mm-hmm.
life got really hard. I was raised by a single mother who worked two jobs to raise me and my sister. I was in college. My sister was still in high school or starting college. And it, at some point, it got really bad financially, which then led to just a complete breakdown of the family. A lot of stress, not the basic needs not being met, led to my mom being under a lot of stress, me going into depression because I was studying to become a kindergarten teacher, because career as an artist was never even a possibility for me. I never thought that's like an option for me at all. So I had to pursue something more regular, and I liked it. But school started being bad because I couldn't catch up to what was going on. Uh, the state of mind that I was in, terrible for success in school. Had very bad mentors, so nothing was going well, and you're feeling that bad, and there's still nothing to even look forward to. That was the worst part. Sometimes you feel bad under stress, but there's like you see a good future, you see an option. Back then, there were no options. I didn't see a way out of the situation that I was in. Best case scenario, I finish school, start working, and nothing really changes. I knew the pay wasn't going to be good. The job was going to be stressful. The the future looked really dark and hopeless. And at some point, out of nowhere, a complete stranger, this woman from Germany, who I didn't even know. We knew each other from Facebook, but she had a very private profile, didn't have her pictures. I really didn't know who she was. And at the time, I was just occasionally drawing Warcraft characters on paper with pencil. Nothing special. There was nothing special about my art still, but especially back
Oh,
then. And for some reason, I don't know why, she offered to buy me art supplies in Germany and send it over as a gift. And I was like, no, don't even bother. This is just a hobby that like I do occasionally. Sometimes I get too depressed and I just don't even draw for months. And when I do, I can afford paper and pencil. That's good enough for me. She kept insisting on giving me something. And I was like, okay, I have to say it. If I'm ever going to make something out of my art, I need to start digital art. And if you can help me out, there was no way for me to afford even the cheapest tablet. Um, that's all I need. I just need something. I just need something that helps me paint digitally. And she's like, okay, let's do that. She sends me my first, it was a cheap Genius tablet. I got it and haven't stopped painting ever since. Within a year, I already had like somebody, hey, I'm working on a project. Can you draw me these characters and I'll give you $10? And $10, man, at the time was putting food on the table.
uh-huh.
That's all I needed. And I kept painting. And in 2012, a family member knew an owner of a game development studio. And he's like, hey, would you like to work on video games? So we're like, of course. And I managed to get the job. The company was still young, hiring everybody who was interested. I didn't have like a super good portfolio, but I was interested. I had something to show. And they were like, jump in, do the work. And the rest is history. That's how I started my art career. And it was because of that one gift that I have everything that I have now, because otherwise it wouldn't be possible. I remember what it was like at the time. Uh, I knew there was never an opportunity for me to like take $50 and spend on a
Tablet.
hobby. Those $50 always needed to go to food, to bills. I was never going to afford it, never going to take that risk on my own. And it's crazy how that one gesture of kindness changed my life completely. And I just hope that someday I'll be able to do the same to many more people, because I owe it. I owe it to pay that forward someday, somehow. So yeah, that story needs to be told over and over again because I'm
Oh,
endlessly grateful.
Definitely. I mean, don't take it like I'm trying to brush over it. No, I just don't want to repeat what other people say. But if it comes from you, no problem. And by the
Yeah,
way, that woman's name is Dawn. So
yeah,
imagine that, guys, like one in a million chance. Like you saw a post and you had to comment, and then the owner of that post reached
yeah,
out to you.
yeah.
Yeah,
My due to depression, there's a little bit of like missed when it comes to memory of that time. I'm not really sure if that the story is that I came across a Facebook post and I left a comment. I don't know if that's how we actually started talking, but she did say that it was that comment that I left that kind of made her pay attention to me more, and kind of why she wanted to help me, because the post was something like, hey, don't worry about money, just live your life.
yeah.
And it kind of, I didn't like that at the time, and I wrote it. I didn't write an angry comment. I just explained like, hey, when you don't have food and you just cannot afford the basic needs in life, all you think about money. No, all you think about is money, because it is, well, in this current society that we live in, money is life. And I cannot
Unfortunately,
just not worry about it when things are so bad, when everybody's under so much stress. And I think she said that it was that comment that kind of inspired her to pay attention to me more or help me out. But yeah, it was a lot of these like small random things that I could have missed that post. I could have
yeah.
said nothing, and who knows what my life would have been like if things were slightly different. Crazy to think about.
You don't ponder about that, do you? Or for example, because I know you were doing traditional art before that. So like, did you ever imagine like if you didn't reach out to her and you didn't get a tablet, would you still be doing art right now?
I I was always drawing.
Yeah.
That's I don't know if I want to go to all my history with art, as art was something that I liked to do as a kid. I don't remember how often. I do remember my mom saved uh, my one of my drawings. I don't know, maybe 2 years old or something like that, very very young.
Uh
I was drawing a car, and it was interesting how I depicted the movement of the car. I drew up the car,
huh.
and I drew a lot of wheels to show that it's moving. But I don't know if I did that a lot. It was something that I like to do in elementary school from first to fifth grade. There was some other kid that was the talent in the class. I was maybe the second best. Again, something that I like to do. When my teacher realized that I'm drawing but paying attention in class, she just let me do that. I loved drawing things around the text in the notebooks. I loved history, so I was drawing battles on the margins around the text. But it was always just something that I liked to do and never saw any future in it, and nobody else saw it. In sixth grade, I moved to a different part of the city, so I switched schools. And in that school, the two like scary teachers was the biology teacher and the art teacher. For some reason, she was super strict. I nearly failed her class. She insisted on teaching like art theory and giving us weird projects that just didn't fit what I like to do, and she didn't see my interest in art as something that she should like help me develop. In my high school, again, nobody noticed and there was no like role model. There was no example of somebody being an artist for a living. That wasn't a career option, so I never actually pursued it. I would always draw as a hobby, but I don't know. I always thought like, okay, I'll do a regular job and I'll draw and paint, and maybe I'll get good at it, and something might happen. But never had any hopes or plans for it, and I never saw my work as anything special.
Oh.
I look back at my old art fondly because I really love making all of it. But it took me too long to figure out, hey, I could actually paint some shadows here and maybe a little bit of a background. Okay, he wasn't like a super special talent that everybody was just like, oh, you're gonna be an artist. So that's why it was always just something I like to do, but no future, never gonna happen. And here I am. By the way, uh, I am currently the most anxious person in the world
Oh.
because I'm waiting for a very important email. I wish I could make some big exclusive announcements here, but I am waiting for it to be real, and that's going to be an interesting story maybe for some other time we speak. But yeah, things
That's
are
huge.
happening that I never thought would be possible for me, and
Yeah.
really happy about that.
Imagine the butterfly effect. I think there's a theory or some kind of hypothesis where, like, if a
Yeah,
butterfly flaps its wings, it's a tornado or somewhere.
yeah, yeah.
Imagine all of
I
that.
have
That
a lot of stories like that. There's one, uh, you, me being a drummer, how that happened. So,
Oh, talk
uh,
about it, please.
high school,
Uh huh.
I all of a sudden see a girl standing in the schoolyard. I was standing at the window. I looked at her. She looked at me. I fell in love instantly. Never
Oh.
noticed her before, but saw her, fell in love. Later, I actually figured out, and I was sure I later got the confirmation she was in love with me too. And one day I was super shy. I would never do that, but because I knew she liked me. It was a Friday. I remember it raining. I remember that day like it
So
was
bright.
yesterday. I was like, I'm gonna talk to this girl. She wasn't at school for
Oh.
some reason, and I never found out why. She wasn't in school then, and for a very long time, for so long that I met another girl, fell in love with her, started a relationship. That's one of my first serious relationships. That relationship broke up, but we stayed friends. And that girl was the only person in the world who would give me a chance to start playing drums in her band. She had a band, and she knew that I would like to play drums, and I didn't know how to play drums. I never did it, but because she still cared for me, she was like, "Hey, what wanna be in my band?" And that's how I. She is the only person who would give me that chance,
Oh.
and she did, and that only happened because another girl didn't come to school that one Friday. That's crazy to me.
Now that you
And
mentioned, like, yeah, like, imagine the chances. Yeah, please
yeah,
continue.
yeah. And I've been thinking about that. Like, would it happen some other way? Because similar to my interest in drawing, I was always interested in drawing. I was always tapping on the desk and annoying people. But then thinking, you know, she invited me to her band just before things got really bad in my life. And till later on, without her giving me a chance, I would have probably lost all interest. In that state of depression and basically poverty, I wouldn't even be able to afford going to rehearsals and stuff like that. So, it might have happened some other way, but way less likely. Way less likely. Just remembering how things were going on at the time, and it feels like, I had that one opportunity and I used it to the best possible, extent, and super happy that I had a little bit of a career in drums. I played with a lot of local bands that I liked, met amazing people through, through music. So again, a lot of beautiful things happened just because somebody gave me that one small opportunity, and I'm super super grateful to that. It's amazing.
I'm gushing here because as like I also started being in a band in high school, and when I found out about that, like I had to ask you the story. Like, how did you start playing guitar?
Yeah.
And how I like how it's all connected actually, art and music, and
Oh
I
yeah.
find that interesting. I wanted to ask you about more about drumming, just for a bit. Sorry, guys, it's an
Sure, sure.
artist musician thing. Yeah. So playing in a band must be one of the most complicated things to pull off when you're
Yeah.
starting out, because there's at least four people. There's a drum, actually at least three. There's the drummer, there's a bassist, and the guitar and the vocals. Sometimes the
Yeah.
guitarist also sings.
Yeah.
So all of those little nuances you need to sync up. So you're more of like the heartbeat of a band. And I remember as the former rhythm guitarist of my high school band, I was always told you're gonna need to match your strumming with the kick drum. Whatever the drummer does,
Yeah.
everyone has to follow the drummer. So as the heartbeat of the band, what are some misconceptions people get about gigging? Like the gig life.
I don't know what their conceptions even are. It's,
It's a culture thing.
drumming is. I have no music education at all,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that's good about drums. You can actually play them without understanding music theory at all, basically, in my case. And you can actually learn to play drums without actually owning drums. I still don't own drums. I have my own equipment, and I have a studio that I can go and practice there. But yeah, in my current band, Rain Delay, that was my favorite band before I became a member. That's an amazing story, getting that opportunity.
Oh,
Uh, my job in that band is to worry.
worry.
And yeah, it's
Oh,
everybody gets to chill and play the music, and I get to worry about. I'm packing extra guitar cables. I
why
am
you?
packing. That's my personality, and just came natural to me to just think about, hey, things can go wrong. So one day, the way we perform, we don't perform now. We're kind of on a break, but uh, when we perform, we play our music live. But there are some additional sounds and orchestra that's playing. So I need to play with the metronome, so it all syncs up.
Oh, the pain.
And
I hate the
there's a
metronome.
lot of like equipment that you need to uh, connect to make that work. And one day I was like, oh, this cable is kind of loose, so I better buy a spare one
That's so nice of you.
because things can go wrong. If this
Yeah.
cable stops working, I need to have a spare. and that spare was slightly different. And it just so happened that that spare cable that I bought made it possible for us to perform, because we came to the venue and that original cable wasn't working with the equipment they had. Luckily, that spare one that I bought just out of precaution was able to be connected to the speakers, and we were okay, now we can perform. I do a lot of like a little I do album cover art, uh, mixing videos and sound from our gigs.
Oh, you mix
I
and
do a
produce.
lot of extra work, and
Hmm.
it's that's my job. I'm the worst musician, but it's my job to care and to try my best to just contribute in other ways. Other guys are just prodigies. They just always do everything right, and I don't. Because I'm okay, but I wish I had more time to actually learn and improve. So to compensate for me sometimes making a mistake, I try to do a lot of other stuff. And yeah, syncing up with band members, sometimes it doesn't work. Um, I approach music the same way I approach art. Again, with a lot of OCD, everything needs to be perfect. I need to be perfect. The band should always do their best. And my approach to work has led to success in art. But in the band, not everybody wants to work that way. And I get it. And that's why I'm not in one of the bands that I loved so much. I I couldn't do things the way they like to do things. And that's okay. It was then my responsibility to just remove myself out of that situation, because I was just causing stress to everybody else. And that's important. Like my favorite band, Gojira, they've been
Oh,
together since,
the Olympics.
yeah. I was so happy for
Oh,
them
that was
that they got to
insane.
do that. They were together since the 90s in the same lineup. That's so incredible to have
They stayed together
four
for that
people.
long.
Yeah, to have same vision, same ideas, for everybody to be happy. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And my goal was always like, we should all be happy. My clients need to be 100% happy. My bandmates need to be 100% happy with everything we do, because there is a solution to every problem that is good for everybody. And I don't like making compromises. I don't like doing things that, you know, somebody's
Cool.
playing some riff that I don't like. There is an option that I will like, and there's something that I can play that initially they don't like. I can change it, and they like it. I like it. Uh, I always go for let's all be happy and satisfied. And yeah, in a band and in the art team, uh, I just try to make myself and everybody happy. And so far, it's been going great. Not in every band, but in every project. I can brag that I have 100% client satisfaction rate.
Hey, that's hard to do.
It's been good.
Oh man.
Actually, like I have proof that this Wacom tablet that I'm working on was
Uh
a
huh.
gift from a client. He was apparently happy with my work, and he's like, "Hey, would you like
Us.
some better
Cool.
equipment to work on?" I was like, "Yeah, that would be nice." And he's like, "Hey, let me send you some extra money on top of the payment I owe you." And
Buy yourself a
here I am.
tablet.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was. that was a huge compliment, and it's great to know that that was a small private project that I'm glad that my investment in that project was recognized, because when I start working on something, I really get into it. I really treat it as my own work. That's my own art. It's not just a job. I always get emotionally invested in everything. And then I'm glad that all of my clients actually notice that and actually comment on that and show gratitude uh, in many different ways. And that's, again, something I'm very grateful for.
Um, from all of that, I started asking I said you were the heartbeat of the band, but it sounded like you're more of the heart, not just of the band, but like you're a heart right there. I don't think that makes sense, but everyone's commenting that here right now. Some of them are
I
asking,
try to
could
be.
you could you drop who the client was?
Oh, that that project is still not
There we go, guys.
public.
Hush hush.
Uh, I need to talk to my boss. I
Nah, no, no.
need to see what's going on with that. If
Oh, you're gonna get for an update. Okay. Oh,
we kind of finished all of the artwork, it was up to him to do all the
did you talk about the nature of the art?
all the programming stuff. Uh, I need an update on that project. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, well,
Um,
there you have it. Another butterfly effect. Someone asked about that, and now you remembered to follow up on this.
yeah, it's been a while. We're still in touch on social media, but
Mhm.
I haven't seen an actual announcement on the progress of the game and what's going on.
Okay.
Uh,
People said they'll keep a close eye on your Instagram page. One day you'll post about it.
to follow me on Instagram. Instagram is basically that. Nobody who follows me sees what I post.
Oh,
Follow me on Twitter. Uh, that there people kind of do actually interact with my work. Instagram, if you're not, at least in my experience, if you're not already famous and people are coming from other platforms to Instagram, like nothing I post gets seen. If I get 50 likes on my best work,
uh huh.
that's wow on Instagram. There's and it's how the platform works. It's really difficult for people to share work on Instagram. They can send it to people directly, which nobody does. So for artwork, I think they can post it as a story, but then other people need to click from the story to go to my post so they can actually like and follow there. And nobody does that. On Twitter, it's easier. You click retweet, all of your followers see it, can interact with it directly without going to another page. So Twitter is where you can follow me
We
for
got
updates.
yeah, huh?
But if you like pet photos, uh, then go
Insta-
to my Instagram.
Instagram. I saw.
I have two
There
cats and two dogs, and I like sharing what they're up to every day.
you have it. Wait, someone's asking. We got Jillian asking, "What's your username on Twitter or X?"
uh, Anthony Avon .art. But let me just check. It's just at Anthony Avon Art.
There you go, Jillian. No, on the topic of projects, one of your previous projects, or you used to do the album art covers, right? The illustration for albums. Am I correct?
Uh, Basically for my band.
Uh
Early on, maybe before I even got my first job, I think I did something like that. But it's not something that I've done a lot.
Okay, but it's still unique because I wanted to ask you about that because we don't really have like I don't get to talk with artists who have done works for albums. So I want to talk about that experience because albums by nature are auditory, but what you're doing is visual. So how do you meld those two together when you're making the artwork for that?
Well, again, don't have a lot of experience with that, but the last one I did for my band,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I I just try to put in a lot of band references, things that are meaningful. It's easier if you're actually looking at the artwork. I could then
Uh-huh.
explain what things mean, and everything has a meaning. That was my approach, and it's different from my usual art. My current art style would be good for like a black metal band or something like that. I could do some dark epic landscape as an album cover, but what I did for my band was quite different, and it was all just me trying to put a lot of symbolism uh, into the visual elements there, like
No.
references to old
Uh,
albums,
uh-huh.
to the songs and stuff like that.
Okay. No, the reason I ask, aside from it being rare to talk to someone who's done that, no matter like if you're experienced in it or not, I wanted to sort of ask you more about like how do you approach projects that are unusual or out of your comfort zone?
Well, out of my, I'm trying to stay as much as I can in the comfort zone.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh, okay.
because a few years ago, I finally made a risky decision to focus on landscapes, and it immediately paid off. I thought I'll be losing work and that I'll be like still be forced to accept other commissions, which I liked other stuff, but felt like I should maybe really focus and master one thing. Uh, and I was afraid of that decision, but it immediately landed me my dream job to paint for Lego.
Are you,
uh,
oh, that's so cool.
I was I was kind of had more free time. I painted a bunch of landscapes and posted them on ArtStation, and maybe that's how the art director found me. And they, it was a company that was like hu- looking for somebody to outsource some work, and I was talking to them on an interview, and I did a little like I checked out what they did as a company, and I saw that they did work for Lego, and I was like, "Hey, I'm a huge fan of Lego, as you can see. Like it's
Right
so
in your
awesome that
background.
you got to work for them." And they're like, "Well, would you like to work for Lego?" So like, yeah, of course.
Hell
And they're
yeah.
like, "We'll call you." And 2 weeks later, I'm working on not just for Lego. I'm working on the line of Lego that I collect, Ninjago. And I was like, how is this even happening? Like, that was an incredible experience.
So
Difficult
do
to put
you
into words. Like,
yeah, do you recommend like to put it in your background stuff you want to work for or work in? Like if I want to work in say God of War, I should put that God of War artwork behind me just in case like I get to interview someone.
uh, definitely advertise. Well, the advice people give is that your portfolio should reflect what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have mostly landscapes in my portfolio, mostly what I get hired for. The for example, Fable crafting, they really understand that landscapes are my comfort zone, but they understand what I would be good at when it comes to characters and creatures specifically. And they assign me really fun stuff that kind of still give me a chance to work with stuff that I am good at and that I like. I mean, I like everything. Uh, there's no like subject matter that I dislike. It's just a matter of, is it possible for me to deliver the quality on everything? Can I be equally good at everything? And I really care about delivering quality work. And right now, I'm trying to focus on landscapes, make a really strong portfolio in that, build a lot of comfort when that I can be fast, really good, and efficient, and then have more free time to go back to studying anatomy of humans and animals, so I can do better creature designs and stuff like that. So I'm now focusing on one thing so that later I can focus on other stuff. It takes a long time to master everything. I just decided to kind of stick to one comfort zone. And comfort zones are good. I've studied a lot of master work, and they all kind of did comfort zone stuff. Some artists only did seascapes or mountains, and they were amazing at that work. So, like, why not just stay in the comfort zone? Maybe they could have done portrait work as well because they were so good. But again, they're famous for this specific subject matter, and it looks amazing. So why not try that? Just focus on one thing, master, be the best at that, and it should work out fine.
I want to hang on that note. I want to sustain that note. So I was watching Hot Ones a while back, and one of my favorite musician interviews on that show are Tenacious D and Dave Grohl. So Dave Grohl from Nirvana and Foo Fighters. So in Dave Grohl's interview, he had this great analogy between like a drummer's feel and their soul. Like if you were to have like a piece of sheet music and have two drummers play it, both of them wouldn't sound the same. And then he also said that a mark of a great musician is that if you first hear the 15 seconds of any song, you immediately know who the drummer is. That's the
Yeah.
mark of a great drummer. And you were talking about master studies. So, for the younger kids out there, especially for the students who are still finding their signature feel in their art, how do you recommend they go about it? Because you mentioned before you did 70 days of master studies, and then last year you did 100, or was it last year? No, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
100 days of master studies.
And
How
then
else do you,
50 later.
and then 50 later.
Yeah.
So aside from the master studies, how do you recommend younger people stay focused and develop their signature feel as efficiently as they can?
Oh, so uh, I might answer that in a roundabout way. So I believe that we're all equal. We should be treated the same. But we are all unique. And all of our unique interests, experiences, personality traits, they go into our art. And that might not show immediately. You go to a lot of amazing artists, if they actually show their early work, it's often completely unrelated. It doesn't look all that special, but there is that potential. And there's no way to actually uh, know what the outcome will be. So, for example, one of my favorite artists, Wayne Reynolds, I can recognize his art from a mile away. The way he draws the lines, the way he uses colors, it's only his work. And if somebody uses his work as a reference, I can immediately tell. because it's so obvious. Nobody else paints like that. But Wayne had no idea that he will be that special. Nobody knows. So that's why I recommend don't delegate your work to other people and other technologies. You do your own work. Study from what you like, what inspires you, and just be patient. It takes a very long time, but be patient. Embrace the journey of discovering exactly what you will become as an artist. In art, you cannot tell in 15 minutes. If I see your first drawing, I cannot tell who you are as an artist. It's a long, long journey, and along the way, you might be like, "Hey, I want to try something else. I want to go from digital to traditional, which will immediately change the look of your art. You want to all of a sudden incorporate sculpting. You want to sculpt, then take photos, then paint over those sculptures. It will change your art, and there's no way to tell if you listening to this right now might one day become the famous artist with a super unique style that you just have to go on that journey and discover that in fact this is what makes me unique. This is what I've developed. For example, I have uh, OCD when it comes to everything that I do. So if there's a pixel on my artwork that I see that needs fixing and that I can fix it, I will fix it. When it comes to drumming, yeah, I can hit this symbol or that symbol, but it always has to be that symbol because that's how I compose the song. It always needs to be the same. And then when I'm building Lego, I read the serial numbers on the inside of the bricks so I can place them in numerical order whenever that's possible. I need things to be perfect as I can make it. And that's something that changes the way my art looks. Because if I didn't have that, I might be more comfortable with very loose style of paint. So all of these little things impact our work, and Dave Grohl is kind of wrong. You cannot tell immediately who an artist is. Uh, I can when we get into the critiques, I will say something that I'm seeing something in this artwork,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not saying that's now just a complete picture. I know you now for the rest of your life. Art takes time, and drumming too. Music, all of that is a long process of discovery and change and learning and gathering new inspiration. So I say embrace the journey and don't feel like you're stuck in this one thing for the rest of your life. You will change, you will grow, and you might grow into something you never expected. And it just might make it to history books one day. You never know. You might be so unique, but there's no way to tell when you're starting out. And that's the fun of it. I cannot wait to find out what my complete portfolio will look like when I'm 45 years old or 55 years old or 65 years old. I cannot wait to actually see where this goes because I know it will go somewhere, either same direction but better or something completely unexpected.
It's a very comforting answer. It's like someone gave me a hot cup of cocoa, and you'd be surprised how many young students and artists I hang out with, who are myself included, frustrated with like things aren't going as fast as I want them to be. Like I hear stuff about that, like I'm not, like I feel stuck. Some people have told me that, myself included, and that answer was, I think, hearing that come from you, like from everything we've heard about so far. I think it's very comforting. So I said that. I'm cheesing right now. I was cheesing the whole time. And one,
Progress
yeah,
is so painfully slow. You better
mm,
embrace it immediately. Give up on anything in art being fast and instant. I've done that year 150 studies.
mhm.
You, it's not like, oh my god, now my art is unrecognizably better. No, it was a little better. you know, I got more experience through that. I found new references that I could later use. Oh, I'm doing this now. Oh, yeah, I remember something similar from the studies. Let me go back and see how I can now incorporate that into this artwork. I noticed certain things that I'm doing wrong, so I try to correct those. But with even that huge effort, a little bit of progress. So just if you're just starting out, decide this takes a long time and be okay with it. Set realistic goals like, hey, I want to do one study a week or every day, whatever is possible for you. Set small realistic goals that you can do today, this week, this month, this year, and just enjoy how long it will take for you to actually be just absolutely great, and never stop. I hope that my last painting will be my greatest painting, that I'll finally just learn more and the most at the end. So uh, better adopt that mindset right now. Otherwise,
As
you'll get into those. I needed to go to therapy because of that. That's one story that could help people if you want me to go into that
oh,
direction.
please, yeah.
So, uh, I was doing my work at the company, uh, my first job. Loved that job, but and it was quite dynamic. I loved it, but I realized there's no future there, so I decided to quit. It was a hard decision. I loved that job, but I just figured out that there are better options for me, and the options were better. I was making more money. Clients were amazing. I was happy with my art. I was doing exactly what I wanted to do, and all of a sudden, I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling terrible. I'm waking up feeling horrible. So I decided, like, I'm thinking about it. Everything is going well. Why am I feeling this bad? I go to therapy, and like 4 conversations, the therapist and I figured out that while I was still at my old job, I had all these different goals. I wanted to get promoted, or I wanted to get a raise, or I wanted to maybe uh, quit and start freelancing full time. I had a lot of small goals that I was working towards, and it all felt like I was going somewhere. But when I started doing freelancing and everything was great, the only goal I had left was to become a great artist, and I knew what that meant. But that meant 10 years of experience at least. So everything I did on the daily basis, on the monthly basis, felt like nothing. It didn't feel like I'm making any progress, and that was depressing me because it felt like every painting that I do, it's still looking the same, no improvement that you can immediately notice, and that I was okay knowing that it will take 10 years to achieve certain things, but on the day-to-day basis, I felt like I'm just stuck. And we just decided, hey, focus on smaller things that you can achieve in a smaller time frame. And I was immediately fine. Never again had those difficulties. I had like panic attacks over how stuck I felt until I just changed that mindset. I was like, okay, I have this big goal, but I have these smaller goals that I can now try to achieve. And it was all fine from there.
Thank you for sharing that.
I
Thank
hope
you
it
so
helps.
much. You have no idea. I mean, believe it or not, like just a while ago, I was hanging out with someone who had anxiety attacks. So there are people who can relate
Yeah.
to that. So thank you so much, Anthony, for that sharing. And I think that's a perfect segue. Like, I have one last question before we move to the critiques. So, knowing all of that, like especially that last segment you just shared, if you were to see like a reflection of yourself in someone, another young artist who might not be seeing, who might not be like optimistic about life as an artist, how would you approach someone like that? You know, and how would you encourage them to keep going? You know, be it in art or whatever endeavor they do.
There's a lot in my story that I can tell that there was so little to hope for and to believe in,
Yeah,
yet only the fact that I just kept doing it made a lot of great things possible. Art, especially for artists who have made it big, I think all of us share this one thing, that no matter what, you want to do this job. You want to do this. You
yeah,
want to sit down and actually go through the process of painting. That almost guarantees success. You implement elements of studying, trying to improve, you will improve. There's nothing, no mechanism that will prevent you from getting better. It's absolutely possible. There's no need to doubt. There will be doubt. I am waiting to get my dream job right now. I want to go and check my email to see if I finally got it. I'm here afraid of my next assignment, if I'll do it well. And that's something that we will all struggle with. But if you love doing this, success and even unexpected levels of success are possible and guaranteed. Just go for it. Just do this job because it's fun, it's beautiful, it's meaningful. No reason to give it up. You will always get something out of it. Certain things, yeah, I was afraid. What if certain things are just out of my reach? What if I had all these small, you know, chances that were good and that made things possible? But what if something small bad makes it impossible? What if there, for my dream job, there are 100 job openings, but there are 101 artists who are good enough to get that job? One artist will not get the job. That's really a realistic possibilities. And I was always afraid, yeah, I'm gonna be that the one that just doesn't make the cut. That's also possible. So yeah, we will be afraid. We will have doubts. but just keep working. It's so worth it. It's so worth it.
You heard it.
I think a lot in my career makes that like a rule.
Uh-huh.
Work, love what you're working on, and things will happen.
I just heard it from Anthony right there. And oof, I'm trying not. I got goosebumps from that because I'm reacting to that, and I'm empathizing with that because I kind of feel the same way with other people. Same, we're kind of on the same similar boat right now. And thank you so much for that. I was Some people are saying it's a very reassuring way to look at life. So thank you for being that voice, and thank you for being so open. Here in the Philippines, mental health is thankfully not becoming a taboo problem anymore, like a taboo issue. We're being more welcoming with that, and
Yeah.
I like to talk about that with artists because not a lot of people know that we don't just make eye candy. We also go through struggles, and our art is
Oh yeah.
tied to
Oh
our
yeah.
emotions and our well-being. And if our well-being isn't functioning, how can we make art as well, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for
If I can expand on that, that's something that I really care about. That I hope
please.
my platform grows enough so I can actually advocate for that more. Our state of mind is our main resource for what we create. We have to take care of that. We have to find ways to feel well, to have fun, to experience things that motivate us, that inspire us. Uh, it's the most important thing. And whenever you feel like there's an issue, when you're feeling bad, sometimes a friend can help. Sometimes a therapist can help. That's you have to treat that seriously. Your art is your mind. Absolutely take care of that. Second thing I really care about, physical health. That's something that started to really worry me last year, and made a lot of progress in fitness. Again, I'm looking forward to being. I'm going to be 35 in a few months. I cannot wait to be 45 because of all the new experience I'll have. But all of that experience will come for nothing if my back hurts and I cannot put together 2 productive hours of work a day. Walk, uh, diet, all of that. There's a lot I can say about that, but again, try to take care of yourself physically. It's not just because of looking good or whatever. You need to be physically able to sit and do this job sometimes for very long hours. 15-hour work days are common for me. Back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, headaches. I've went through all of that. Again, you want to do this for the rest of your life and enjoy it, but for that you got to be physically capable. So worry about that on time. And the other thing I really care about is rights of workers. Artists now more than ever need to, in at least unofficial ways, be united and stand together for our rights and say, hey, we are not going to be exploited for, you know, low pay. We're not going to be forced to adopt, you know, workflows that we know are detrimental to us as artists. That's a huge topic, but uh, let's all work on that. Let's be united as a global group of artists now more than ever. Let's be open about rates. My country and uh, a lot of countries around the world are treated as cheap labor. And
Oh,
that's something that I didn't fully
mm,
understand and know when I started working. When I started working, I was being paid $200 a month. And at 700, they told me that's basically the cap. You're not going to get any more than this. And
Oh,
I was like, no way. I'm not going to accept that. Because the fact that I was born in this country doesn't mean that I am just less valuable. So we should all be more open about, hey, an illustration on a good project should be at least $1,500. Prices are always, up and down, negotiating what's within the budget. Some people honestly cannot afford certain prices. You find a way to adjust. But yeah, let's stick together and finally fight for the fact that we create so much value.
mhm.
Not the CEOs, not some manager up there.
That's some.
An artist is the one who designs a character that launches $1 billion IP. That's the work of us. VFX artists, those people carry the movie industry. They should be absolutely swimming in money.
Yeah,
Because when a movie makes $1 billion or more, it's because the visual artist did the effects. Movies like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, art of that is why that movie is mainly so good, and people who worked on that
yeah,
should never worry about money again. And what I've heard is that no, they're kind of were underpaid and worked in kind of bad conditions. uh I'm not sure, but that's what I heard. But again,
same.
that happens.
Yeah.
I've heard many stories about other projects like that.
Hmm.
So that's something that I would like to advocate more when I become more famous, so I can actually, have a larger platform to advocate for that kind of stuff. But here's an opportunity to say it.
So it's kind of like a time capsule. Hopefully, for if this gets a part two, maybe 5 years from now, look forward to that. Because some people are commenting they want you again for a second part sometime in the future. Hopefully, we can bring this topic
Always.
back up. Thank you so much, Anthony. And I think that's the perfect time to move on to the critique section.
If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. But if you're still looking for more ways you can learn, just head on down to our website at brushpoint.io, where you can watch behind the scenes of this video, watch our live interviews and artist interviews a week earlier, art processes, tutorials, art talks, and lives every single Friday, and even a way to join our Discord community. Just check out that website. Well, that's it. If you want to share this knowledge, well, share with your friends. Like the video, and of course, subscribe if you want more content like this. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.